next Sunday is,
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
we'll have breakfast. What are we gonna have this time?
I don't have a half to ask the boss, but she just left.
I think biscuits, I think biscuit sandwiches, sausage and biscuit and egg sandwiches.
What do we have
I
on
think.
Sunday for?
Well, which one of you, everybody's pointing somebody else in there at the boss, so I'm not
She's the
sure.
boss.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna have something to eat for breakfast this Sunday morning.
Gina's the boss, not me.
I thought Gina was the boss. That's what Bill says, she's the boss.
I just gather the people. I don't know.
We are in Matthew chapter 26. And we're down to verse 17. And they are fixing to have the Passover meal. And at the end of it, that's when Jesus institutes the Lord's Supper. What is some background about this Passover meal?
Every year.
It was every year.
Yeah, it was every year because it was in celebration and remembrance of the angel or the Spirit of God passing over the people that had the blood on the doorpost when they were slaves in Egypt.
Okay. What was to be served at the Passover meal?
Yeah, it was unleavened bread and were there bitter herbs with it too?
It's unleavened bread, bitter herbs, and what's the main course?
Oh, a lamb,
It says it can be a lamb or a goat,
a goat.
but it's a male, a year old,
Without defect.
and without any defects. And something I gotta find here. I read it just a while ago, or this morning actually. Well, it's in there, it has to be unleavened bread. Here it is. They're supposed to get a lamb or a goat. I'm in Exodus chapter 12. We'll start at verse 5. It says, your lamb shall be an unblemished male, a year old. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it till the 14th day of the same month, and they're going to kill it at twilight. They shall take some of the blood, put it on the doorpost and on the lintel, and what have you. That's for whenever the death spirit or whatever you're going to call it comes up. They shall eat the flesh that same night, roasted with fire, and they shall eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They're not supposed to eat any of it raw or boiled, or roasted with fire. Now, this is the part that I found interesting. Verse 9 says, both its head and its legs, along with its entrails. They cooked the whole animal. They didn't. They drained the blood, and that's all they did to it. As far as they were supposed to eat all of it. If your family wasn't big enough to eat that much in one deal, you're supposed to invite your neighbor. Anything that was left is supposed to be buried. It's supposed to be kept for another day. It's a one-night deal on the Passover. Now the Feast of Unleavened Bread lasted 7 days, but the Passover meal was a one-night thing. This is what Jesus is and the apostles are about to celebrate. We're back here in Matthew. This is what they're fixing to celebrate this Passover meal. It would be kept every year. And it was the death spirit or death angel, whatever, the different things people want to call it. When it passed over the people of Israel, they had the blood on their doorpost, and it killed the firstborn of all of Egypt. It didn't have the markings. So that was part of the Passover. And then the rest of, they passed over the Red Sea and over all the land and got to the land of Canaan. Because it took a while. It didn't take that long to get there the first time. I haven't figured up it maybe a year, but I'm guessing on that. I haven't figured it up. But it took them another 40 years to ever get to go inside. Why did it take 40 years?
Some people needed to pass away before.
People need to pass away? Why did God pick 40 years? There is a reason.
All the people would be dead, then
The people that had disobeyed
would be dead.
they would be dead.
Okay.
That generation had to pass away.
Okay, but that's another reason. Well, you got the same answer she did, Jim?
Yeah, that they would be dead, the people.
Why did he pick 40 years?
Didn't have to do the ones besides Joshua and Caleb, the number of them that said they couldn't.
Well, you're getting closer, but you're still not on the right
Still not there.
track. How long were the spies in the land of Canaan? 40 days. And so the sentence was, you get to wander 1 year for each day. But you're right, the Joshua and Caleb, their families were the only ones that had family members that was 20 years old and over 20, that got to enter into the promised land. Everybody else, if you was over 20 years old, you died somewhere in that 40 years. They wandered for 40 years and their shoes didn't wear out and their clothes didn't wear out. But they had to eat quails and manna for 40 years. And I ran across the deal here a few years ago. What is it called? The manna? It has a special name for it in one place. It's called angel food. Because it came from God. Okay, that's the background on the Passover feast.
It says in Exodus that you had to eat it in haste.
Yeah, they eat it all one setting, you know, and they couldn't leave any left over the next morning because whenever they got ready to go, they'd be ready to go. That's another, you know, one commentary I read, you know, God told them to, He was always make unleavened bread. They didn't have time for regular bread to rise. You know, you cook crackers just a few minutes, you know, they're flat bread, you know. It wasn't any crackers like we have today, but anyway, you cook just flat bread just in a few minutes, a little bit, you know. Didn't have time for bread to rise.
So as soon as Pharaoh's son dies, then he then gives, you know, the okay for them
Yeah.
to leave.
Yeah,
Okay, so then that's why, okay.
yeah,
that's why.
you be ready to go, you know.
Had to have their shoes on and.
Yeah, get your shoes on, get everything, get ready, be ready.
They had everything packed up.
Don't give him a chance to change his mind because he does change his mind, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
But they've already got out away from town a ways. I say the town. They got out there to the sea. And God allows Moses to perform the miracle of dividing the sea. And the Israelites walk through like it's on dry ground. And then when Pharaoh's army gets in the middle of it, God covers them up with the sea.
Pharaoh and his whole army were destroyed in that
He has
second.
no army. He destroys his army. I think if you go back and look at their chariot wheels falls off, it does all kinds of stuff. God stops them right out there in the middle and then covers them up. You know, there are those who are skeptics, if you will, about the Bible, about God. They said, well, There's some place there in the Red Sea that's not, the water's not very deep, you just go across it, you know. Well, if that's the case, there's still another miracle of God drowned an army in that shallow water. They're trying to find reasons that the Bible's, they're trying to confuse everybody and say the Bible's not true. But if you go, there's all the archaeological things they have found all backs up what the Bible says, and it also backs up the timing of one of these things. They can't prove everything. They haven't found everything yet. God doesn't allow them to find everything. But the archaeological things, it does back up what the Scriptures say. Today I read one deal they found a pool of Siloam. They found part of its structure buried under in Jerusalem, buried on part of the wall. It's in the right location. It's everything in the right place. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" And he said, "Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, 'The teacher says, my time is near. I am to keep the Passover at your house with my disciples.' The disciples did as Jesus had directed them, and they prepared the Passover." And we got that all part. The reason the Passover. This is one more thing that Jesus did to obey the old law that he lived under. He lived and died under the old law. One other thing that is significant in its in the way it is shown is that what is the main course for the Passover? The sacrificial lamb. Jesus becomes our sacrificial lamb. In fact, he calls him the Lamb of God. That's all for a reason. You know, you go to that, I say that's one reason we need to know what's in the old law and the Old Testament. Well, we can understand a lot of what all happened in the New Testament because it's all building toward a certain thing. I said that number 40 we picked out a while ago. There's lots of things that are 40. God cleansed the world in 40 days with all the water. Killed everything, every living thing except for people and animals that were in the boat. Now when evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12 disciples. That's something really important. What does it say? Read that again. He was reclining at the table. When you look at the picture that, I don't know which one of the guys know the picture of the Last Supper, what are they doing? They're setting the table kind of like what we would use today, don't we? They didn't do that back then, according to historians. They kind of ate propped up or leaned over or whatever on pillows more than anything else. So that guy he did draw a good picture. I mean, we get the meaning of it, but that part's not correct about the table itself. The Bible's correct because he's reclining at the table. They kind of lean, propped up on one arm is what my history part shows.
I think this is also, I've never realized that there was pre-planning in this, okay?
Yes.
Because Jesus tells them to go to a certain man.
Yeah.
Okay? So was that like, we don't have any way of knowing, but if it was like something that was of a spiritual nature?
Well, go back to the donkey.
Yes, yeah.
If you go down a certain street and you're going to find there's going to be The one's a donkey and a foal that's never been ridden. You just get it, and if anybody says anything to you, you just says the master needs it. And they just let it go. Well, if they wasn't something letting them know, if I had a donkey and I don't, Brendan has got one, but and you come up and just started just untied him and going to take him home with you, and you said, well, the master needs, well, who is the master? And, has he got any money? That's my donkey, But they just let it go because
They understood who it was for.
they understood. Somehow they knew by those words, let the donkey go. That's the same way with this here. The table was the room. This guy has an upper room. It's ready. It's furnished. You just got to go up there and fix the meal. It's ready to go.
Did they have the same meal that we just discussed?
Yes. That's right. That was the official meal.
Right.
Was the unleavened bread, the herbs. Now they had something that they dipped out of a dish. Here, now I'm not sure what it fit was the same thing, but it had the unleavened bread and the lamb. It was the main two things. Janice is here. Newer translation said he dipped in the bowl, but in the King James said something about salt. Is that right?
Dip with his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me.
Doesn't say sop, S-O-P?
No, mine just said, when he putteth his hands in the dish.
Okay.
New American Standard says dipped.
Well, this is that dip,
Okay.
dippeth his hand.
But you got the whole King James, Janice? Okay.
Yeah, it's open.
Maybe I'll misremember.
Yeah,
My
it says he that
commentary says
dippeth
a
his
bowl of
hands.
broth.
Huh?
They dipped it in a bowl of broth.
No problem.
That's a commentary.
Okay.
It's called Jews that still observe, they call it a Passover Seder, and I don't know
Okay.
if that
I
works.
don't have, yeah.
I've watched one on YouTube, but it's pretty interesting. But they do gather together and they tell the
Yeah.
story about each piece of what there is, and that's been handed
Yeah.
down.
That's part of the old law that they still observe. No, but, many of them, they don't, the sacrifices and all this stuff, they don't observe that part. The few of the things they still observe. Now, there are those who are more conservative, if you will, who, the name comes out to me, they call them Hasidic Jews. And I think they stick a little more closer to everything that's in the old law. They don't have their ears, they don't, serve.
They're the ones that are turtles.
I think so, yeah. That, I may be pronouncing it wrong,
I've heard.
but I think it's Hasidic, but I may be pronouncing it wrong. Verse 21, as they were eating, he said, truly I say to you that one of you will betray me. Being deeply grieved, they each one began to say to him, surely not I, Lord. And he answered, he who dipped his hand with me in the bowl is the one who betrayed me. The Son of Man is to go just as it was written, what is written of him. The woe to that man by whom the Son of Man betrayed. It would have been good for that man if he had not been born. And Judas, who was betraying him, said, surely it is not I, Rabbi. Jesus said to him, you have said it yourself. So anyway, that's that part. It said, while they were eating, Jesus took some bread, and after a blessing, he broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And Jesus took the bread and he broke it. And we did attend church at a place in Bosco, California, been 40-something years ago at least. And whenever they had enough plates for each aisle like we would have here, but the bread was all came in one central deal. And the man who was leading the service, he took and he broke pieces of it and put it in each plate, just like Jesus broke pieces here. And that's just something they did. I'm not saying I'm not saying we gotta do that. I'm just saying that's just what they did. Jesus broke the bread and he blessed it, broke it, and he gives it, take, eat. This represents my body. He didn't say represent, that's what he meant. There are those who said it becomes his physical body, but I don't know. I think they're grasping straws on that part. And then verse 27, and when he had taken a cup and given thanks, he gave it to them, saying, drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for forgiveness of sins. And I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine, this fruit of the vine, from now on until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And after singing a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Now there are those who take this particular verse here where it says, he'd taken a cup and given thanks, he gave it to them and said, drink from it, all of you. And they want to say that you just got to have one cup or one bowl or one pitcher. But if you've got 300 people in the building, we don't have 300 people here. It'd be hard to get all in one pitcher, wouldn't it? And I think where they miss it interpreted is they put more emphasis on the container than what the fruit of the vine represented. It's what represents blood, not the cup that it comes in.
Hey, Roger,
Yes, sir.
does that mean, when it says, in my Father's kingdom, that means the church?
Jesus actually leaves before the church is established, but that's kind of a fuzzy area there when just exactly when I always understand. That's what he said here. He's going to drink it when he comes again in his Father. I have that meaning after he has been resurrected. But the actual establishing of the kingdom comes about on the day of Pentecost. So, that's one of them things we have to study about and think about a little bit.